Thank you so much. The two people we have that we are spotlighting today is you, yourself, Dr. Anna, and Dr. Iyobusa. And looking at your story and your journey, which we'll be learning more of, I know that you are the past president of IPEM, and Dr. Yobosa is now the current president of National Association of Medical Physicists, Nigerian Association of Medical Physicists here in Nigeria. So there must have been a journey. But before we get into all the juicy details of the journey and how you've been able to attain that height, many times when they describe people or they ask people to describe themselves, we only describe ourselves around our work and just say, oh, I'm a medical physicist, or I'm this and that, and we are quick to name ourselves around our work. So I would like to know you. If we take off all the titles, the work that you do, how would you describe yourself, Dr. Anna?
Outside of the job, I'm curious always.
Wow.
I'm always searching for new knowledge. And I also deeply care for all of the people around me. I've always had a very small family. And unfortunately now, I'm sort of on my own. But I have all of my friends, and I consider them my family. I have a wonderful husband who comes from a very big family, and so that's sort of my comfort as well. But yes, my side of the family is very small, but I have a very, very large group of friends who I consider family, and oftentimes the people I work with become my friends and family too. So there is a real blend. I'm not one of those people who keep it very separate. I'm quite a blend. And I always have this little saying in my head, which is, there are no strangers. They're just friends I haven't met yet. So
wow,
that's me.
You must be quite accommodating then.
I hope so. I hope everyone around me finds me accommodating and approachable. That's how I always want to be.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for the response. How about you, Dr. Yobosa?
While she was speaking, I was just thinking about my life. Yeah, I think I'm also very family oriented. I don't joke with family. I can fight anyone. So, and I like to describe myself as a woman with many parts. I don't like to be boxed. Today I'm doing this, tomorrow I'm doing this. And growing up, I used to think that, you should just focus on one thing. But I tried and it just didn't work. So if I feel like singing today, I'm singing. If tomorrow I want to act, I go and act. If I want to dance tomorrow, So I'm just, sometimes I'm all over the place. But I'm also a very good encourager. I'm a counselor. I like to, just like you said, I've been pushing you for and I wouldn't want to leave you alone until I see you, fulfill that potential. I think I'm very good at spotting people's talents or gifts. I'm very good at that. I have come to accept that. I'm not going to be shy about that. So, and I'll make sure that I push you to achieve that thing. But don't make the mistake of telling me you have a goal, because you will achieve that goal. Yeah. So I'm a very, very simple person. I think that would be the one sentence I would like to. I'm a very, very simple person. I don't like complications at all. I like to live life very simply. Yeah.
I think you're very open and relatable to be honest, because I know I have always, for example, I've always seen, before I knew you or got to have interactions with you, I've always seen you on LinkedIn, and this woman that says the first time this, and 2 times the Secretary General, and first internationally certified medical physicist. And then I just expected you to, because we are still going to get to that part where to see women attain those heights, it might be that it costs a lot. And many times we see that women who end up climbing those scales, maybe they tend to be very hard or very tough. And so seeing how you were just relatable and open and always ready to pour your heart to everyone around you. It's really beautiful and commendable. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Anna, have you always imagined becoming maybe a leader, a physicist? What I would like to know, what was your journey like up to this point? Did you just wake up to say, "Oh, I'm just going to be a medical physicist," or how did it lead up to this point that you are?
So to answer your first question first, no, I never imagined myself becoming a leader. Not at all.
Wow.
To answer your second question about how I ended up in medical physics, very much to do with my mother. So my mum came from a very humble background. She didn't have the same opportunities as I did in things like education. So she really poured everything into myself and my sister, which I'm internally grateful for. So when I was a teenager and deciding what I wanted to do, she knew already I was very interested in science. She had loads of books around the house, all lots of science books and things, and I was always dipping into them. And also in the 80s when I was growing up, there was always this TV program on the BBC, which was by David Attenborough. I'm sure you've heard of David Attenborough. He's a naturalist who does lots of documentaries on wildlife. And we'd be at 6 o'clock having our children's tea in front of the TV, and there would be these biology programs on of sort of bugs in the jungle munching each other, while we're trying to have our dinner. But I just was fascinated always by anything scientific. And so initially my mum encouraged me to go into medicine, but I realized that actually I was much more interested in physics and mathematics. And so we started exploring all these different things. And then the very famous Sally Ride, she was a medic who then became an astronaut. And actually I wrote to her when I was a teenager, and I asked her advice about having a career and in engineering and health related. So she inspired me to carry on studying physics and engineering, and it was very kind of her to write that letter. Because this was all before email and everything, right? So it was a handwritten letter that she replied. I think I'd written it to something like Dr. Sally Ride, NASA. USA, and it got there, and then when I was at university, I got the chance to do a fourth year option in medical imaging, and that was when I thought, I found it. This is where I want to go. So what was I then? I was about 22 years old, just about to complete my physics degree. We were taught by real proper jobbing medical physicists who had a job in a hospital. They were also research academics, so they came and taught us. And then after I finished my degree, I then took up a training place in the UK for training as a medical physicist. And the rest, as they say, is history. And it just... I suppose to elaborate a little bit, I got very hooked on neuroscience quite early on. And so my career really went into brain imaging and the brain mapping and the mathematics of brain function, and so on and so forth. But no, I never, ever imagined I was going to be a leader. In fact, for IPEM, I kept asking all my amazing female colleagues, come on, so we've got to, but they were always had something better to do, let's say, maybe. And eventually it got to me, and they were like, well, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one that has to step forward and do it. And I haven't regretted it. But no, I did not set out in any way, shape or form. As I said, always curious, never particularly wanting to be in charge, but always curious, always asking questions, always wanting to find out more, always wanting to improve. So that's how I ended up where I am.
That's
Thanks for asking the question.
Yeah. So was it a love for curiosity, or your curiosity that led to loving calculations, or you've just been that type of person that love calculation?
Calculations?
Yes, with respect to maths, physics, because many times people just run away from it.
No, so Yeah, so I'm not the best mathematician in the world. I really am not. But I'm really curious about the world. I always want to know how things work. Now, if you think about it, mathematics is the language, is the universal language to explain to each other how the world works. So that's the thing. So it's not that I'm particularly drawn towards mathematics, but I am very drawn to how does the world work? How do I explain things? I quite often find a lot of joy in finding analogies for people to understand a particular science concept.
Wow.
So it's that need to sort of break it down into its parts and build it back up again so I understand how it works. That's really where it's come from, I think.
That's beautiful. So, Dr. Yobosa, how about you? I'm not done, but I read a bit of your book, From Medicine to Physics, and I know you have a story. So I would like you to briefly also share that journey from what you wanted to where you are now. And I noticed in your story, you also talked about how maybe depressed you were at some point. You almost wanted to give up because it was medicine you were pursuing. So it's a 3-in-1 question. You're going to give us a bit of that story, and also looking at where you are now and where you used to be at that point. What would you say to that girl who was at that stage, or looking at that young girl who was almost giving up? What will you say to her now?
Wow, it's a loaded question. Let me just pick up from one of the points that Dr. Anna mentioned. No, you don't set out to be the president of. No, that's a crazy ambition. It just happens, right? I know naturally I'm a born leader. I'm the eldest child. So
Wow.
we are used to calling the shots. So, and I love to solve problems. So before I talk about the journey, let me just tidy up the leadership part. Of course, I started as secretary of NAMP. So I was secretary for 2 terms. And how did I even become secretary? I just wanted to, I just didn't want to be part of those who were complaining about things, I said, okay, let me just do something, and when you have the platform, it gives you the opportunity to make bigger changes, right? So I was actually blackmailed or, into becoming secretary. That's another story. But anyway, I found myself as the secretary and things were going well. I found out that I had a platform to really do all the things I wanted to do in my heart rather than just sitting there and complaining. And then, of course, I thought, I'm done. It's not easy, managing people and managing things. I really wanted to rest. And then people were like, no way, you have to be president. And someone said, you can't survive just sitting down and not talking. So you might as well just be the president and keep talking. So I was like, okay. So I didn't plan. I like to work behind the scenes. I'm like an on the G, what you call an on the G. I like to walk behind the scenes and let people have the spotlight. I do not like the spotlight, honestly speaking. So that's that. So joining to becoming the medical physicist, of course, like you said, the story. I'm going to try to summarize. I've always loved mathematics and physics. I sleep and eat mathematics and physics, even till now. Further maths, advanced maths, But as a Nigerian, which you probably can relate to, first child, you are intelligent. Everybody wants you to study medicine. You are either going to study medicine or be an engineer or a lawyer or an accountant. There are just 4 courses. Nobody thinks about physics. What is physics? Who does single honors courses? So anyway, I started the journey of medicine, and I was doing well. I'm not going to tell us the reason why I switched because it was a bit complicated. Anyway, found myself back in physics, and I discovered medical physics. I'm like, wow, that's even better than doing medicine alone, because now I'm kind of at the intersection of the medicine and the physics. So I get to feel the medicine and also stick with my calculations and, physics. So yeah, it was a win-win for me at the end. So, what I would say to my younger self, I have a lot to say to my younger self, but now what I say to younger ones, I say just enjoy life, enjoy the process. It really does. Even if I had studied something else, I don't think I would be a different person. I would still be making a difference, even if I was a lawyer or I was a plumber or a painter. I don't know. I would still want to succeed in whatever field I find myself in, right? But I'm happy I'm doing medical physics anyway. It's a very interesting field. So yeah.
I'm curious, if you were not doing medical physics or medicine, what will you be doing?
Two answers.
Okay.
Which is that anything my hands finds to do, I will succeed in it. That's the truth. That is 100, because I'm very, diligent and disciplined, and, put my heart to whatever it is I find myself doing. And then secondly, I most likely will be a teacher. I love to teach. It's in my DNA. What I'm going to be teaching, I don't know. I might be teaching music or teaching. I must be teaching something. So I'll definitely be a teacher. That's one. I'm sure of that. I'll definitely be a teacher. Teaching anything, just as long as I'm teaching and imparting knowledge to people, I'm fine with that.
How about you, Dr. Anna? What would you be doing? You're muted.
I'm sorry. Yes. Well, so I too enjoy teaching, but actually, if I was to choose a different university course, I probably would do politics, history, and economics. But let me explain why. I love, as I said, to deconstruct things and build them together in a model that I understand. And I also find it fascinating to deconstruct society and put it and feed that data into a model that I can make sense of. So in a way, it's kind of like applying engineering to all sorts of whatever's around me in the world. So you have a system and then you look at the inputs and changing inputs to see what happens to how you can change the outputs. And I think that's why that sort of explains the latter part of my career, where I went into understanding healthcare delivery systems. So the last 5 or 6 years of my career has been all about how do you describe a healthcare system? How do you modify things within it in order to get the best patient outcomes? So, so I think it would always have come back down to making people's lives better, or making an impact, as Yabosa said. But I might have had a different domain knowledge, which would have been around sort of politics, economics, and the history, and global history, I think, because more and more we realize how connected we are, and it's a mistake to study things in isolation. So it's all about the systems engineering.
Wow, that's beautiful. So I want to ask a very funny question. If you were to, so first, I think I should ask, what would be your top pick to see a movie, to read a book, or to listen to a song?
Oh, read a book, I think.
Read a book. Okay, so
and probably listen to a song at the same time.
I want your priority to be read a book. Okay, so if you were to write a book about yourself, looking at your journey from your younger age till now, what would you title it and why?
What would I title it, or what would I call it?
Yes.
You're putting me on the spot. Have you got a title for your book, Yobosa? Because I need to think.
You want me to answer the question?
Yeah. If you've got a title in your head, you go, and then I'll keep thinking about mine.
Oh, that's a very tricky question. I think for me, let me see. Well, let me wait for her to think of hers. Should I answer, or should I wait for her to think?
You have your answer, you can.
Oh, okay. So should I answer the entire question? You asked 3 questions.
So, okay. Yes. What would be your first pick? And looking at your journey, if you were to describe it either as a song, or a book, or a movie, what would you title it?
Okay, first of all, in that order, definitely I'll be listening to a song. I love all 3. I love watching movies. I love reading, and I'm a music person. But in that order, it's with music, books, and movies. If I'm going to title a book, be you.
Wow.
That would be my
That describes your journey.
be you, be yourself. The world today is lacking authenticity. Everybody looks like everybody. Everybody wants to be everybody.
Wow.
It's boring. It's so boring. I always say this to you, if I see everybody moving in one direction, my brain is naturally programmed to go in the opposite direction because I don't want to be doing what everybody is doing. Because I'm like, something is wrong. Like we have so many things that God has put in us. Look at the universe. It's beautiful. Why is everybody trying to do the same thing? We should be unique. So it should be you. That's one of my messages. I like to preach to people. Be yourself, be you. That would be the title of my book.
Awesome. Dr. Anna.
Okay, I've had a think now. So it could be along the lines of the what I said to you before, the adage I had before is there's no strangers, only friends you haven't met yet. But that's not mine. That belongs to somebody else. But I was thinking, what has been the flavour of my life? What would be that sort of headline? And I think it would either be something like a little bit of everything, or something like we'll just try it and see.
Wow.
So I think, yeah, so there you go. Oh no, does that mean I've got to write it now? That's one thing I have to say, actually.
That may just be your cue.
If I could dictate the book, that would be fine. I find the writing, it takes too long. Oh, Yebosa's the same. Yeah. I think it's because my words come out too quickly. I can't type fast enough.
Wow. Awesome. So now we are going to talk about the field. I think the field medical physics is one that we still have people that don't understand it. We try to explain sometimes and they're like, medical and physics, how do they relate? And so if you were to explain it to someone who is not in the science field at all, how would you simply just define medical physics to that person, Dr. Anna?
Me first?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've had a lot of practice at this, right? So my go-to statement at the beginning is, have you ever had a test in a hospital? And they'll usually say yes. And then I say, well, the equipment that was involved in that test. There will have been a physicist or an engineer behind that, checking that it's safe, checking that it works properly, checking that it's suitable for the test that's being done. And then I go on to say, all the images that get made, the diagnostic images. Well, there's a physicist or a scientist behind those images, interpreting them, processing them, making sure that they work properly. And then they'll say, oh, is that a radiographer? And you say, no. They are very good with the patients and they make they take the picture. But no, I'm the person behind who understands all the mathematics and the engineering behind how those pictures are made. And then I go on to the treatment side of things. So then I say, have you heard of radiotherapy? And we usually say yes. So I usually try and attach it to something they already know and feel comfortable with. And then I explain how we contribute to that. So it's a bit of a lengthy, explanation. But I'm older now, and it's usually, I'm just trying to think when I was younger in a party. I think I used to go to, how there's all that equipment in a hospital. Well, essentially, there's a whole load of staff who look after that equipment and make sure that it's okay to use and it works properly. Now, of course, that's a little piece of what we do, but it's enough, I think, for them to start thinking.
Yes. Yes, thank you. How about you, Dr. Yebosa? You're muted.
It seems like a simple question, but it's also a hard question because medical physicists, we do a lot. So it's difficult to kind of just describe it in one or two sentences or a few sentences. But something I usually say to students, this might not be a good example, but this is just what is in my head. How the bad guys, go and destroy places by throwing bombs, and killing people. We use that same material for good. So when somebody is sick, like somebody has cancer, we make sure that the bomb, is goes to destroy the cancer, and we do it carefully so that the person does not, we don't kill the person stays alive. So I don't know.
Wow.
So
I like that you used the illustration of a movie, because one of the questions I had planned was that if medical physicists were a character in a movie, what would best describe us? And it just feels like we're the similarly bad guys in a good way.
yeah, I mean, you think of Superman, you think of all the Marvel heroes,
Yeah,
kryptonites,
true.
Yeah, but like I said, it's difficult to put us in a box. But that's usually one example. I like to use, about the bomb and all that. But and then in terms of imaging, we ensure that the doctors who are doing the diagnosis or the radiographers who are taking the pictures, we make sure that they're all, what they're doing is done well, and safely, and that they can look into the body and see clearly. So we are the guys responsible for that. And then generally speaking of medicine, I like to see us as the FBI, the CIA, MI6, Mossad, SSS. Seriously, that's
Yeah.
you don't see us in, we are not like, you don't see us in front, right? You don't.
Yeah.
You see the president of the US now going somewhere. There are guys who are protecting him and making sure that he's safe and everybody around him. And I think those are they are the real heroes. So really, we are the unseen heroes, the unseen and unsung heroes who walk behind this, make sure that everybody is safe. Yeah.
So if you're a medical physicist that is probably watching this, you should at least raise your shoulder a little bit. That's beautiful. So what aspect of the field do you enjoy the most, and why? So Anna.
Oh, okay. So, well, I think it would have to be using diagnostics diagnostics isn't the right word. Using this digital information that we've collected to understand how the body works. So very early on, I was very drawn to imaging in all its forms. So MRI, CT, nuclear medicine, and then much later PET CT. I'm always very drawn to that, and then loving the fact that I could take what essentially was a 3D matrix of numbers, with maybe some sort of location information on there, and applying mathematics to it in order to understand how the body was working. I was really, really drawn to that. And then, yes, and so my PhD and postdoc research was all around using mathematics that was applied to different things. So in the same way, Yabosa, you were talking about, taking the same technology that can destroy people's lives and taking the same thinking and mathematics and using it to prolong people's lives or make people's lives better. And actually, funny enough, I was just thinking about, they've got all this idea about precision bombing, which sounds awful. But, this idea we've now got drones that you can fly remotely and they will hit a very specific piece. Well, actually, there's some really exciting medicine now that you can, and it's all come from physics and radiobiology. We can create these little drones in the form of maybe radioactive particles or even little spheres full of radioactive particles and target really precisely these tumor cells, get it in the body, and then it sort of kills the tumor from the inside out. So there you go. Sorry, my cat's about to join us again. She broke in. So something about taking the information, applying these, what might seem sort of abstract mathematical and physics concepts, and creating something that's sort of life improving and life giving. That's yes. Does that answer the question properly?
Yes, it does perfectly. How about you, Dr. Yobusa?
What do I love about the field? Was that the question?
What aspect of the field do you enjoy the most?
I think I like the problem solving part of medical physics.
Mm.
I was looking back over, so I'm primarily in radiation oncology, but I also work in radiology, nuclear medicine, but primarily radiation oncology. I get bored at work when there's no problem to solve. I'm telling
Wow.
you, I don't know how to explain this. It's like my brain cells just turn on, when things are not going well. And it's like, no, I don't give up easy. I'm like, no, we have to solve this problem. We can, I know the physicist is so vast and, well positioned to handle things like that. We are mathematicians, we are physicists, we are now applying our knowledge in medicine. We are analytical, we are logical. I think I like the problem solving aspect of, in whatever area whatever form it comes in. And then once again, I'm going back to my teaching and training. If I'm at work and I'm not sharing knowledge, exchanging ideas with someone, or it's very, very boring. I don't know if that answers the question, but I like the fact that medical physics gives me the opportunity to do all these other additional stuff, apart from the regular clinical, work that we do, research. And I don't know if that
Yes,
answers
it does.
the question.
Awesome. So I would like to ask, what has been the most exciting and most challenging part of the field for you, Dr. Anna?
Okay, so the most exciting happened quite early on in my career, actually, where I was invited to, with a colleague, to go to Kathmandu in Nepal. And we were talking about how does one train your people locally in medical physics and clinical engineering, and retain them, right? So, and we still have it now, is that we offer places in America and the UK for people to come and train. And ultimately what we want is people to take that knowledge back to their own, their own places and countries. And we were sort of saying, well, what needs to be set up is sort of satellite training in all around the world that could be linked back to, wherever. And actually, funnily enough, a lot of the American and UK universities now do these sort of, there's KCL in China and there's UCL in Saudi Arabia and things like that. So that was years ago. That was in the that was 99. Yeah, 99, 2000. And it was just wonderful to meet all these amazing medical physics. That was the first time I'd really sort of gone and met internationally, and how similar we all were, in as much as how much we wanted to make a difference, how much we loved physics, how much we loved engineering. And then the challenging bit, I have to say, is at the moment, which is, our population is getting older. We've had the financial crisis, we had COVID, and we're having to do more with less. So I'm constantly being asked to achieve the best patient outcomes with as little money as possible and as little resources. And of course, the UK, we're an incredibly privileged place. Of course we are. But even so, it's challenging. It's challenging. There's limited resources. And so I'm probably finding this point to be the most challenging part of my career.
I would want to say maybe that's one of the challenging parts of career in Nigeria, but I would also like to start to speak to that.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. We are facing. So I'm going to speak personally, and of course, I'm speaking on behalf of Nigerian medical physicists. It's very disappointing or heartbreaking or discouraging, when you're doing all this work, contributing to patient care, contributing to the healthcare system and all that, and you're not being recognized for the work you're doing. It's let's be real, as a human being, it's very, very discouraging. And I think that would be the most challenging thing for every Nigerian medical physicist. And for me as a leader, or even as a medical physicist, looking back, over the years, like I said, I've learned to stop complaining and just try to see whatever it is I can do. But, it's once in a while, it just comes out. And when I try to, complain about these things, they're like, what are you even doing in Nigeria? You can leave the country, and go to the UK, go to Europe, go to America, where they recognize medical physicists, where you'll be appreciated for the work you're doing, where your qualifications be relevant. And then I'm thinking, is this the solution to the problem? If we all leave, what's going to happen and they're like, you're not the one who's going to solve the problem of the country. So it's really, really challenging, especially now as a leader. There's a lot of expectations. Now as president, people are probably expecting that I'm the savior of the world. I'm going to solve all these problems, and not knowing that, you and I, we all have to work together to solve these issues. But yes, it's very, very discouraging. It's very discouraging. I used to be one of those people that says to people, please don't leave the country, stay in the country and do things. But as the years started to go by, I started to understand that really, 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 you really have to be a very strong person, even emotionally, to stay back here in Nigeria, considering the state of medical physics. So that's a very, very challenging part. I think every day is exciting for me. I don't think I can put one specific. No, as long as I'm solving a problem, as long as I'm helping someone, as long as I think everything about medical physics is exciting. This is what we are doing now is exciting. It's exciting too. So I don't have a specific answer for that, but for the challenges, I think that's the most challenging part of.
Wow, really, that's beautiful. Yeah, so I would want us to delve more into the leadership aspect of your journey. For Dr. Anna, I know you said you probably wouldn't have chosen to be a leader, right? But looking back at, do you think that there were pivotal moments or like inflection points that were like build up to the position that you got as the president of IPEN?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I would say my pivotal moments are people, right? So there are certain people I've met in my journey that have made me think differently, have asked me a question that's made me think about something in a very different way. And it's those people that probably have set me on my path to where I am now. So, you sort of think if you're, in your head, you've got this direction, this path that you're going on, and then you meet someone on the corner, right? And you have a conversation with them and you go, oh, and then there'll be a kink in that path because you'll have gone in a slightly different direction and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So yes, there's a handful of people in my life that I have met, both in work and outside of work, who have been very important to whatever decision I've made or ended up doing. So yeah, to people, I think. I mean, I can go into specifics, but I'm not sure how helpful. But I just think, my advice to other people would be take note of those other people around you and have that open mindset, right? Have that open mindset. Listen to people who are different. Lots of good listening, because you'll be given an opportunity or a different way of doing things that you'll not have even thought of yet. So that's what I would say.
Wow. Awesome. So looking at yourself, were there things that you knew about yourself that made you feel you were capable for the position, or you had to discover yourself even in the journey as being capable of the position? Yes.
Yes. So I was I've been privileged enough to be able to apply for and win places on some specific leadership courses. As I said, I'm quite curious. I like to find out about things. And what I found was after having done several, it gave me the tool. I'm sorry, my cat is very needy. I was given the tools and the frameworks to be able to move forward, to lead projects, to lead things about quality improvement. And that took away that fear of, because we all suffer from imposter syndrome. But I sort of felt like if I had a framework, a scaffolding around me, that I was able to follow those steps, and I found comfort and courage in that it took me to places of amazing success, right?
Yeah.
And then you sort of think, well, if I can do it, then other people can do it too. And you stop feeling this imposter syndrome, and being able to look at your outcomes and know that you were part of that. I think I'm also, what I learned about myself while I was doing those leadership courses was the kind of leader that I am, and I'm mindful of what Yebosa said about being in the background, but knowing you're doing a really good job to support and being the best you can and putting that quality in. And so, in all of my leadership roles, I surround myself with absolutely superb people. It's always about the team, and then I just bring, I guess, my 30 plus years of being in medical physics to that. I very rarely tell people what to do, although my husband might disagree. But what I'll try and do is ask the question so that they can come up with the answer. Do you see what I mean? Like, a lot of people need a bit of confidence. They're building their own confidence. So what I like to do is build confidence in that team around me. So I see that potential, I bring them in, I have conversations with them, and it's like, well, what do you think? And have you thought of that? And so mindful of those people that I met along my way, and how they treated me and how they encouraged me, and I pay that back. Do you know what I mean? So I provide, I steer the ship is the way I like to think of it. I steer the ship, but always recognizing the expertise that each of my team and staff bring to that journey forward and that success. So
awesome. I'd like to hear from you. Yeah, I would like to hear from you, Dr. Yebosa. So you will tell us those pivotal moments that you think were a build up for you. I know you have been like 2 times Secretary General of NAMP already, but were there other shifts that led to these points that you are now? And what have been the things you've had to learn about yourself in this position?
Okay, so there are 2 questions, right? The first one is, were there pivotal moments that made me know that I could do this job? Is that the question? I don't know if there was one. Like I said, I just always found myself leading. So naturally, I'm the kind of person that if I'm in an environment where there's a problem, there's a challenge, and people are complaining, naturally, I'm on the other side, thinking about what can we do to make things better. So, and I think I'm a person of vision. Like, I have a lot of ideas in my head. So I'm always thinking about what can we do? How can things be better? So I think if you're, to be a leader is not rocket science. You don't really need, to have some special qualities in quotes. I mean, there's a difference between being a boss, holding a position, one big title or one office. That has nothing to do with being a leader, right? There are 2 different things. You could have a big position like being a president and also be a leader, but not everybody that has a big position is a leader. Just like Dr. Anna said, you have to be people-oriented. You have to love people. I think that's one major. So I think I'm that kind of person, I love people. I like to carry people along, let's go here, let's do this. And I know that I also have the ability to influence people too, because leadership is influence. You should be able to make people believe or see what you see, So if not, you can't take them to where you want the organization to go if they don't see, so that having that ability. And yeah, I already mentioned to you that I'm the eldest child. So I was born into that role of, as an African, you don't really have a choice, right? As an eldest child, you have to make it work. You are the mommy and the daddy at the same time. Nobody cares to know if you can do it or not. You have to do it. You understand? So
Yeah.
what have I learned? Being a leader, whether it's president of NAP or anything, it doesn't really matter. I've learned a lot of patience. Leadership teaches you patience. It's not easy working with people. I don't care to know how much you love people. It's not easy. Some days they can drive you crazy, So you really need to be very, very patient. And if you're someone who is very strong-willed, I'm very strong-willed. Like I said, I have ideas. I have ideas of how things should be. So as a leader, you need to be able to listen to your colleagues and be able to take what everybody's saying and put that all together, and present it. That takes that's a lot of hard work, listening skills, patience, long suffering. Because as a leader, you receive insults. I mean, I know the British are a bit polite, compared to us in Africa. We are not very polite. We say things as they are. So people will insult you, and you just have to look beyond the insult and look at the intention behind, try to see what they are not saying, that sort of thing. So I have really learned that a lot. And you have to be very, very comfortable in your skill. I'm a very secure person. So leadership had made me I never thought that I was, but being a leader has made me to really realize that I am a very secure person. You should be, as a leader, you want everybody to, you want to bring everybody along with you. No one should be left behind. So you're not afraid that, someone is going to take your position or take your place, or no. In fact, I would really want you to take my place so that I can chill, So, and then, imposter syndrome. She mentioned imposter syndrome. I dealt with it a lot, and I still deal with imposter syndrome once in a while. But I think it keeps me humble. It keeps me humble, yeah. Because some days, things just get into your head. You're like, yes, you're the boss, you're the leader, you can do anything. And then you're like, are you sure? Are you sure I deserve to be a leader? I think it's a privilege, leading these people. So it kind of keeps me in check.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think humility is an important leadership.
Yeah,
definitely.
It is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your responses. So I'd like to ask now, being a woman, has there been any, should I say, uniqueness or specificities as it attains to being a woman in this position, considering that for you, Dr. Anna, and even Dr. Yobusa, looking at the years that the institutions have existed and being the first woman, were there any peculiarities with being the first woman? And also to know, did it sort of place a lot of expectations that people had on you in the position? And also even on yourself, like, did it put you on a sort of pressure to say, oh, I'm the first woman, and then there's a lot that they might be expecting from me, maybe because I'm a woman, and then I'm now a leader, looking at the fact that there's been a lot of men leading. So were there any peculiarities with regards to being a woman on the job?
So not for being president of IPEM. Sometimes there is in my leadership roles at work. But what I would say about IPEM is that it was very much the right time and the right place. Okay, so we were ready. So no, there weren't any peculiarities. I think we'd already had a couple of presidents, leaders who were already much more that teamwork, involving lots of people rather than being this sort of lonely figurehead. So we're already moving that way. I think the advantage that women have when they come into leadership positions is that we're quite often used to doing things together. if you think about your girlfriends, and you talk to them and you learn from each other and you support each other. And I think that's a really important thing to take with you into leadership positions, because otherwise it can be very lonely and very pressured environment. Whereas I look at my male colleagues and they're not so used to doing things together with it. They might go down the pub for an odd drink, but they don't band together and do things. And so I look at them and sometimes I can see they have the world on their shoulders and it's very lonely and they're trying to do it all themselves. And it's not a natural thing for them to reach out to their best bud for some advice. So that's what I think that I think that might change with the generations, but my generation for sure, I think we're showing that's our superpower, is that we're really good at bonding with each other, I think.
Awesome. So
yeah.
Okay, do you have more that you want to say to that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, thank you. So you would say teamwork, which has been in existence from time, has made it easier and less pressure on you to maybe want to achieve, you have to do this and that. How about you, Dr. Yobusa?
Oh, wow. Yes, definitely there was and there still is pressure. Coming from where we are, where we are from, Nigeria, Africa, we have our cultural expectations, traditional expectations, religious expectations, and all these other things. Being the first female president of NAMP, we are 40 this year. Of course, it's a big deal. And if I have to start telling people, please stop saying first female, I'm just Iyobosa, I'm just the president like every other person. But I understand for the optics, it's good to say first female and all that. But I was like, hey, we write the same exams. What's up? Why are we, there's no female on me when we're writing exams. Why are you now differentiating stuff? But I also am very careful that, so some people try to, highlight first female like, okay, let me not confuse myself now. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm happy I didn't just come in to being president, just like that. I started from being secretary and all that. So it evolved into that position. So it was kind of easy for me. But in terms of cultural expectations, even when I was secretary, I have, how we are now in Africa, how the men can be. You're a woman, you shouldn't be telling us what to do. I'm like, this law.
It's true.
No, I think it's even more. It's more here in Africa. But I'm like, those laws only hold. Somebody even told me my wife doesn't talk to me like that. I'm like, that's why I'm not your wife. That rule holds in your home, right? In your home, you are the head of the home and the wife. But outside of the home, we are colleagues. We are mates, we are peers. There's nothing like you are the head and all that. So I face that a lot, but I just try to, for the sake of my sanity and peace, I just try to understand where they're coming from and work with them. But that was a very, very big, very, very big deal for me. So, even now as president, I remember I even spoke to one of the leaders I currently work with. I was like, I hope you're okay working with a woman. Because if you're not okay working with a woman, then don't take up this position. I like to be very real with people. But as a woman, I think being a leader, it's very good because, we are emotional beings too. So we bring our emotions, as part of the package. You are not just because you are dealing with people. So you should be emotional, you should be empathetic and all that. So I think that's one flavor that as women, we bring into our leadership positions. I know because of time, so I saw the chat.
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's the emotional maturity, Yobosa, because I think as women, girls, we encourage our girls to understand their emotional ups and downs, don't we? And boys, I think we still sort of, oh, come on, buck up, it's not that bad, and that's been detrimental to us as adults. So women, I think, understand that whole spectrum of their emotions and how they're feeling, and are good at questioning their self-awareness. And I think, unfortunately, our boy children have not been so fortunate for that.
So I wanted to add, sorry. As a woman, we actually have to work twice as hard as the
Oh
men
yeah.
in this position. Unfortunately, most people do not realize that. They think that as a woman, oh, she's there because she's a woman. No, you cannot be the president of
Yeah,
a medical physics association if you have not earned it, if you have not paid the price, if you have not
true.
done the work. But there are still some people that do feel, oh, it's a woman, so they just wanted to pity her and make her. No, you won't even survive. So we have to work twice as the men, to prove this point or disprove the point. So just wanted to make
Mm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there has to be like a balance of the emotional side to the maybe very stern and ability to do the work kind of thing. Because yes, we're emotional, which makes us very relatable and able to like consult people, work with teams. But there has to also be that maybe rigid or tough side of the work that makes you get the job done and then even work twice as hard as every other person would. So, Dr. Anna, what has been your maybe toughest leadership lesson so far? And how would you advise every young woman who aspires to be a leader, even maybe talking as a past president of IPEN to current president of an association? How would you what was your toughest leadership lesson so far, and what would you um, like to any other person coming to learn from that?
Okay, so yes, very quickly then. What I would say is, so I didn't really experience any discrimination, let's say, in my early career. And as Yabosa was saying, if you're enthusiastic, you're smart, you're contributing, it becomes that meritocracy that we like to believe that we live in. What I found, though, is when I moved into leadership positions where it's not about the science and the knowledge anymore, but very much about your influence and your ego and how that changes. And that's where I noticed the difference. So what would I say? I would say that make sure you have your team and your allies around you. So to avoid feeling lonely, and those days when you do get attacked and you do feel vulnerable, make sure you've got your go-to. Make sure you've got your go-to friends and your allies at work who are just always there for you, because wow. That's the real people. And as Leoboza said, oftentimes that outburst that you're on the receiving end of has many layers and histories behind it that might not have anything to do with you. And so, but it still hurts. So, but if you have your people around you, then that can make the journey easier. Yes. Is that okay? Do you mind if I pop off and see?
Yeah, so I want to ask the last question
Okay.
Before I'm then just going to take it up with Dr. Yobusa from there to wrap up. Yeah, so we want to leave our audience curious on 2 truths about you and 1 lie. So what are 2 truths, and maybe you could add 1 lie to it and then they figure it out afterwards.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You don't have to tell the truth and the lie. Just say the 3 together.
Yeah. Okay. I once walked through the Jordanian desert to Petra to raise money for cancer charity. I play the clarinet. And I've never seen Star Wars.
Now we'll leave our audience to figure that out. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Anna.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Yeah, so Dr. Yobusa, I would just want to speak on the peculiarities of Nigerian medical physics. What is your, should I say, I know we already have the vision for your current tenure, but is there any burning desire which pops your heart the most on what you would like to see or change, or the trajectory you would want the Association of Medical Physicists in Nigeria to take within your tenure, the one that burns in your heart the most?
Wow, that is a very, very nice question. And I'm not sure I should expose my secrets because we should be dishing it out. People should not see us coming. But I mean, apart from the obvious one that everybody wants, we want the recognition. We want to be recognized by the federal government. We want to have our own scheme of service. We want to have our own council so that things are regulated, the practice is regulated, and we can do things like every normal healthcare professional in Nigeria or any other part of the world is doing. Because the problem with that, if those things are not done, I mean, every other thing kind of hangs on those things, right? It's not done. You are just opening the system up to quackery when things are not regulated. So you can have every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Anybody can claim to be a medical physicist. And one thing I tell people: this is beyond the politics or the bureaucracy or the competition or interprofessional rivalry or whatever. All these things are going in the education system, the healthcare system, or whatever. Yeah. We are dealing with human lives. If those issues are not addressed, you continue to have our best minds, leaving the country. Sure. And then what happens? What happens to those who are left behind? I'm not saying that those who are left behind are not equally good, but you find out that we do not have continuity. There will always be this gap in knowledge because those who should be transferring the knowledge, training other people are not, they've gone to search for greener pastures. And so it's one problem that if it's not addressed properly and as soon as possible can lead to other issues. So I always, whenever I have the opportunity to speak with government officials or whoever needs to, I'm speaking with, in relation to this issue. Let's go back to the basics. Let's think about the effects this will have on human lives. Think about the transformation in medical physicists brings or can bring to the healthcare system, and how that would benefit. It's a human life at the end of the day. At the bottom of the pyramid, it's a human being we're talking about, the patients and even ourselves, so that is that. And I think generally, I would love that, all medical physicists, whether in the clinic or in academia or in industry, are, at the top of their game, very good at what they are doing. When you're very good at what you're doing, you cannot be ignored. You cannot be denied, right? You would be appreciated. You would be, yeah. So the quality of education, I really love the quality of education to improve, the quality of clinical training and clinical practice to improve, greatly, so that it is measurable and comparable with what you have, in developed countries.
Yeah. So picking up on what one comment you made, people right now who probably have completed their master's degree, some may have even done PhD, and it looks like the opportunities are limited for them to work in Nigeria, and maybe probably feeling disadvantaged at the moment. And considering the global dynamics that is ongoing at the moment, not everybody just find it easy to say they want to travel and all of that. So what would you say to someone who is at that point that's probably feeling disadvantaged, that, there are other options, but yes, I said I wanted to come study medical physics, maybe out of passion or something. And maybe they are considering maybe traveling out for better opportunities, or they are of the opinion that I still want to be in my country. However, I want more opportunities opened up to me to maybe want to work and get out of that disadvantaged states, in quotes, that the person is feeling.
Okay. I would say, please do not be discouraged and do not ever feel you are disadvantaged. Yes, you might be in a system or an environment where things are not working the way they should be. but that system or environment should not define who you are. It's an opportunity for us, to create things. Whenever you see something is not existing. Now, for example, the example you gave, the person doesn't have a place to work, right? No jobs, no place to do clinical training, something like that, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah.
It's an opportunity. You see, we have been programmed to think in one particular direction. Okay, you graduated from medical physics, you did your master's in medical physics. This is the next course of action. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be. It's okay if you take a detour and then come back. When things are okay, or you can as well just be a part of the revolution and solving the problem, changing the landscape, changing the. So I don't be disadvantaged. Just sit down and think outside the box. There is something you can walk up to. Now, this is what I tell some of my students. Most people think, when you think of medical physics, they only think of radiation medicine, radiation therapy, nuclear medicine, diagnostic radiology. We do not have very many radiotherapy centers in the country. We do not have many nuclear medicine centers. Yes, there might be many diagnostic centers, but that's not all what medical physics is all about. There are other applications, So I have a student currently who is doing an internship in an optometry in optometry clinic, in an eye clinic. Yeah, because one of the courses she did in her MSc was I've forgotten the exact title, but it has to do with optics. And I was like, this is where it's applied in medicine, and she's currently enjoying herself. So she probably sat down there thinking, because where she is currently, there is no radiotherapy center there. So, and she's saying, oh, I want to work in radiotherapy, and there's no radiotherapy center. She's just sitting down there and feeling, no. So now she loves what she's doing, and I'm even trying. I don't think I'm able to convince her otherwise now to go to radiotherapy. So there's physics application in every branch of medicine, and you can take the opportunity to go there and enlighten people, create awareness on the application of physics in that area, because most health workers do not know that physics can have. If they knew, things would not be the way it is. Honestly speaking, if they knew, so create. I love this statement that was made. I even wrote it. I wrote it I quoted it in my book. It was said by. So this was during COVID 2020, during the COVID time. Every lockdown, and so there was a commencement speech. Yeah, it was during a commencement speech that this famous musician made the statement. I don't want to mention her name. So she said that if you go to a place and you are not given a seat at the table, go and make your own table. And when you make that table, don't just sit down there alone. Invite others to the table. That's a very, very powerful statement. And it's one principle I live by. Just that she put it in a very, very, framed it so well. But that's one principle I live by. I don't have that mindset of feeling discouraged. If you are feeling discouraged, you continue to feel discouraged. But see the problem as an opportunity for change, or as an opportunity to create something. Do you understand? Yeah. So I would tell that person. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thinking outside the box matters a lot. And someone usually say that we feel disadvantaged in Africa or this side of the world, but at the same time, we're advantaged because it gives us opportunity to be builders, it gives us opportunity to be founders, it gives us opportunity to be creators, even innovators, because there are probably existing systems, and then your mind should be thinking, what can I do to improve the system? Or are there gaps that I can now come in to fill myself? So, but if we are just programmed to think, oh, if it's not radiotherapy, or if it's not nuclear medicine, or it's not radiation protection, and if I'm not working within this organization, then I'm probably disadvantaged. And I'm also thinking, maybe because of a personal passion, I've always been the person that loves communication. For example, I like to write, I like to talk, I like to even think and host conversations like this. And to be honest, even before this initiative came to be, I've always just been thinking, is there a way to combine science and communications? and just see how we can merge those good passions to maybe creating new paths that people can now start to take up and just begin to just build upon. It can be another thing. The person you might be into maybe tech, you're quite built at maybe software development and stuff like that, and then you have studied medical physics. Is there a way you can now start thinking of merging both passions into creating new paths that can serve as innovation or even, so I think that many medical physicists in Nigeria or in this part of the world have to now start, just like you said, start thinking outside of the box to see what are alternate paths that we can now create, spending the time the system develops into that one that can accommodate everybody, maybe in clinicals or in the research.
And the funniest thing, we might never even get to that point where that's. Are you frozen? Okay. So we might never get to that perfect point or perfect time or perfect system, whatever it is, because the more we try to catch up with the world, develop, they are moving, they are not in one place. So we can really not catch up. So I tell people, let's not try to catch up with anything. Let us make do with what we have. There are so many problems here. There are so many problems. And like you said, opportunities for people to be creators, to be founders, to be innovators. But you are looking in the wrong direction. Look around you. The solution to every problem is always around. We are just not seeing those things because you expect things to be in a certain way.
True.
So we need to start to think. I was giving this example some days ago in one of my lectures, like the tomotherapy machine. It was a medical physicist who developed it. And I don't know the full story, but I'm just trying to imagine he or she, he working in the clinic and then thinking, okay, we have a linear accelerator, we have a CT. Why can't we create another machine, that works using the same technology of CT, and can do something better, can treat pockets, That's how inventions start. Yeah. So you start from the problem and then you look around you. So I think that's what needs to be done. And I love the point you brought about the point you made about science communication. I think that is a very big niche that medical physicists can also occupy, because especially in this field, I think of all the professionals, it's a multidisciplinary team, right?
Yeah.
We are the ones who understand the entire workflow. We are the glue that connects all the dots, So we're in a better position to be able to explain, these things, communicate this science, because the layman, or even with not even going outside of the health system, not even going outside the hospital, even within the hospital, how many professionals, healthcare workers, how many medical doctors understand, radiation medicine? So physicists, just like you said, writing, speaking, acting movies, or singing. I told someone, I said, let's make a song, let's write a song about, whatever way. There are so many things to do. So we have in that, we are very well positioned, we have the skills already to be able to, communicate this in a way that people understand. So science communication, I think is one area that medical physicists should also explore.
Thank you so much, Ma. We could go on and on because I'm really enjoying this conversation, but we have to bring it to an end. What's your? I know the current tenure, your current tenure currently has a vision, but maybe personally also, what's your vision for the field? Maybe in the next 10 years from now. Not speaking for Nigeria only, even for Africa, because I know that you're well read, well traveled, and understand a lot of how the system works. So what's your vision for the field and even Africans in science generally for the next 10 years from now?
I'm not sure I have an answer to that question. And the reason why I say this, I mean, this is coming from me who always has an answer to questions like this. I'm saying this because the world is changing very fast. Things are changing, things are evolving. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if medical physicists will be doing what we are doing now in the next 10 years. I'm not sure, honestly. I think we might just evolve. We might just evolve
So
into
is there any advice you will now give somebody considering the way things are rapidly changing?
Yeah, you need to, number one, don't put yourself under pressure. Like I said, don't try to catch up with, move at your own pace. Mental health is real. So you need to be very careful so that you don't feel like you're disadvantaged or you're left behind or someone is doing better than you. No, please just take things, move at your own pace. But what I would say is try to at least have an idea of what is happening. For example, like AI now. I remember when this AI, and I just told myself, like, am I ever going to catch up with this AI thing? Considering that there are other things that I'm also involved in and also love to do. But I would say make sure you know what is going on. You don't have to be an expert in AI, but at least you should know what AI is all about. So the same way I would say, as the world is changing and evolving, just try to keep yourself abreast of, the changes and at least have an idea so that you know where you can fit in. Because if you don't even know what is going on, you don't know where you can fit in. So I would just say move at your own pace, take things easy, but make sure that you know what is going on. And as much as lies within you, what would you call that now? Is it okay? That's not a Lara principle. That a Lara principle is as much as reasonably achievable. Yes, as much as reasonably achievable. Let me use the Lara principle. As much as you can, as much as you can prepare yourself, as much as you can upskill yourself, do it so that you are not relegated. So that you are not relegated. So as much as you can, like I said, we are not all going to be experts in whatever it is. I'm not sure I know where the world is. We have an idea, but things are really moving fast. And as medical physicists, I'm still going to say this again. We are rightly positioned. We are rightly trained, to occupy. I mean, the people who are driving these changes, this new tech, they are physicists are the ones behind this thing. So it's easy for us to adapt. So we should be ready to adapt, easily and not just stick to, one thing. So, for example, if they find a cure to cancer tomorrow, are you going to say that you don't have a job because you only know how to treat cancer with radiation? So you can evolve. Medicine, technology is advancing, and I think we are the best people to occupy those, places to bring about those changes. It can be in whatever way. How the change comes might differ from one country to another, but you are good. I think as a medical physicist, you are good enough to go with the flow. Yeah.
So I read a book that says 21 lessons for the 21st century. And one of the things it said was that in the coming years, it will not be a problem of lack of jobs, but it will be a problem of irrelevance. And it spoke to what you just said, that it's important to move at your pace, but also be aware, stay updated of what is going on as much as you can. Also try to upskill. And then you have said it before also, think outside the box. Don't just think one way. If it doesn't go this way, then there's no other way for you. So don't miss out on the train that is continuously. So let's wrap this up with the question that I asked Dr. Anna. So you just tell us 2 truths and 1 lie, and then allow the audience figure out what are the truths and what is the lie.
Let me behave like a typical Nigerian. I don't know how to lie. I don't know how to lie. 2 truths and 1 lie. Oh my God. I feel you can even help me. I feel you can even answer that question for me, Favor.
I want you to say it yourself.
I need to think. I didn't even know that question was going to come back to me. I would have been thinking before now. Okay. I love to sing. I love to sing. I love to swim, and I love to act.
Now I have to figure out. Even myself, I'm trying to figure out because I know obviously that my younger son loves to sing, and now I'm already picturing swim or act.
Okay,
I'll figure that. I'll
okay,
figure
okay,
that out after that. Thank you so much. I really
okay.
enjoyed myself. Okay,
Thank you.
and in absentia, thanks to Anna for making this a very beautiful one. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.